I'll have a
All
look on
right.
our website, on our YouTube as well.
Yeah. So, and the beauty with this as well is while we wait for some people to filter in, hopefully,
Yep.
if someone else is running another stream on your folks' site, as far as YouTube, you can run multiple streams. You can run two concurrent streams at the same time.
That's amazing,
So,
actually.
yeah, so Barry, who's does our trading room, he's going right now on YouTube as we speak, doing exactly all the same stuff that's here for us. So
Nice.
you can keep it kind of casual for a minute here, just to not to give up any of the goods before anybody really starts to filter in. I see a couple of people coming in, so for you folks that are just joining us, we're gonna give it a few moments here. See who does or does not come to join us. Hopefully we get a decent crowd in here. But Michael Katz from Trade the Pool, myself, Chris Varley, support and education team with Trade Ideas here, and just doing something a little different for us, both with a midday market recap. Try to do these a couple of times a month, along with a few pre-market shows a few times a month moving forward with the partnership that Trade the Pool and Trade Ideas has just recently started. So anything you want to add or start off here with for us, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, the market has been crazy. Yesterday we had a crazy run to the upside. Today with Powell, the market is dropping back to those levels. And we had that pre-market that we made 2 days ago, right?
Yep.
That was also I watched back and saw the things that we spoke about,
Mm-hmm.
and there were some good stuff. Yeah.
So just throwing up a SPY chart here in 15 minutes. I'll scroll out though. So we were here the other day on that pre-market, right?
Yeah.
And sorry, that was this here. That's yesterday. This is what we were the other day.
Monday.
And I just, the theme that I think we can really take from all this right now is here's where we were early Monday morning. Here's where we are right now. Not exactly far off there, but all this distance that we have now traveled in that short period of time. So it's just really, the market has a way to mess with the most amount of people at once, and it is absolutely doing it. Going through, especially on Twitter, you hear all these people, oh, we're ready to break out. Oh, no, it's ready for the collapse. It really isn't doing either one. It's just chopping everybody to pieces right now.
This is why you want a day trade, because you can take the long and the short and don't care about the rest.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you want to steal the screen and go over anything on your own at the beginning here, and then we can pass, but whatever order you want to go on things here. I'm comfortable one way or the other. As I was mentioning to you before, I've been trapped inside some support things that I do inside Trade Ideas here. So while I was watching some things get away from me that I wanted to day trade today, I didn't make any day trades, although I did add to some other long-term positions I can talk about as well shortly. But if you want to, maybe you want to jump on it.
Yeah. Thanks. Let me grab the screen.
And again, just once in a while, just interrupt and throw out there for anybody here. We are, Michael Katz from Trade the Pool CEO, and I'm Chris Varley from Trade Ideas. We've got a new partnership going on with, if you can take and pass the evaluation with Trade the Pool, and you make your way in there, you get a funded account from them. They're taking the downside risk on all that, splitting the profits with you, obviously, but they'll pay for your Trade Idea subscription. So, we're trying to, branch out and do a few different things here with everybody.
Yeah. And it's been going great. So I appreciate that, Chris. So guys, so let's talk a little bit about the market, what we saw today. And I would love to share some trades that I made today. 4 of them, 3 winners, 1 loss, and maybe if you have any question regarding that would be great. Feel free to drop them in the chat. So today I made some pre-market. Like every day, I'm preparing myself for the trading session. Sorry, there are some sirens going on.
Just makes it more natural, makes it more real.
Right. Hopefully, nothing bad happened. Anyway, so what I did is basically prepared myself for the trading session. Chris and I talked about something on Monday, that the market is pretty much in a buy the dip mode. So whenever we see in a dip, it usually bounce up again, and this is what we saw yesterday, for example, right? And 2 days ago, if you recall, Chris, I kept those drawing just to show the guys here. So we said that we can short around here, like intraday, of course, try to short the market, and then if we will see a drop, we can start buying the dip again intraday. So this is
Mhm.
what we did, and the market added like 4 times or 5 times dips that you can pretty much easily buy. And today, pre-market, I had a session also on YouTube with one of our guys, and I did mention going short, that the price might go lower on the NQ than the Nasdaq 100, and if so, maybe to try to again buy the dip. So in this case, I didn't buy that dip, but I did took some short position because of my preparation, and because it looks like the market could drop at least a tiny bit, just for those, just to get inside of those levels, right? The support area here. So um, let's go through those stocks, and I'll share some of the trades and show you it from the trading platform. So few that I had on my radar. One was Tesla. I'm always trading Tesla, especially this time of
It's
the
a
year.
it's a big mover. It gives you a wide range every day.
Yeah. So you can go long, you can go short, you can play with it. And that actually was my losing trade. That was the first trade I took, and my losing trade. I will share
Mhm.
in a minute in the trading platform, the real trade. I'm just analyzing it on Thinkorswim, but executing on our prop trading account. And I took that short right at the opening, right at the opening, and it actually did went through my favor, and I just wasn't too focused or quick enough to take this partial, because the price just um, melted down to that pivot point and then bounced up. So let me share it. It will be easier to see it. So I have all my trades here. Okay, Chris, just let me know. I see some bouncing in the video, so let me know if
No, you're looking good on my end here.
looking good. Okay, great.
Good.
So basically, so you can see the red triangles. That's my entries, and the green triangle. That's the exit. So I shorted right at the open, and I was pretty good to take my partial, but I just missed that. That was pretty fast, and I enter a few more trades simultaneously. It bounced up. I added more, bounced up again. I added more to basically a losing position, but this is something that maybe we can talk a little bit more about, the managing side of the trade, because when I'm
Mhm.
taking my position, when I'm entering my position, I always take into consideration that I might add to my losing position. So basically, so let's say I want to risk 30% or 40% out of my daily loss. What I will do is go in with a 10% risk of the daily loss, and then I can add more to it. So even if the stock go against me, I can add more to my position, because I know that my total will be 30 or 40% loss. So this is something I always do, and so basically scaling into the position. In my opinion, it will change the way you trade. If you don't do that, uh, that will definitely change the way you trade to the positive side. So adding to my position, and of course closing it as soon as I saw it running away and breaking through pre-market highs. So that was a losing trade for me, the first one that I took. I did look at before. Maybe we'll continue to the trades, to the rest of the trades. I did um, too many screens. I did add also Uber because of the earnings,
Hmm.
Microsoft that made a nice pop at the beginning, and ATVI. That's the news were great for, or bad or great for both stocks. So Microsoft and ATVI, of course, working together, and all of uh, the news that came out. Did you see that? Did you hear about it, Chris?
Yeah, Microsoft and the new extension that I believe they're putting, right?
Yeah. So the guys at the beginning at least loved Microsoft, but didn't
Hmm.
like so much ATVI. So what I did is I wanted to short, and this is something maybe we should talk about also. If you can see my drawing at pre-market, so before the market opened, I just always prepare myself to the scenarios.
Hmm.
Sometimes I won't see anything, right? I will try to capture a scenario when it will go long, go short, and it won't do none of that. But in most cases, I gotta say that I will see at least one of them occurring. And when you see that, it's much easier to execute the trade because you can analyze the chart as much as you want, but the
Hmm.
main problem for us is executing the trade and manage it.
Right.
Because right, because you can analyze and see later on, wow, I was right about it. But if you didn't execute the trade, you didn't make money. So the easiest way, or I don't know if it's the easiest way, but the best way that worked for me at least is when you prepare the scenario and you literally draw some lines and you know what you want to see. When you see in that, it will be much easier to execute. You have more confidence to execute the trade and follow the plan basically. So
Yeah,
this is
it
why
helps
every
keep you
day,
honest.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So every day I'm just drawing the lines. Sometimes it won't do none of what I'm looking for, and that's fine too because I don't want to trade something that I wasn't willing to commit to, right? So price started playing. One of my scenario was either to short it from that area, but only not at pre-market, only at the opening bell, or if it will break through the 200 EMA and bounce to it and then short it again. Or the other option is basically retesting, breaking through the resistance level from the daily chart or a 4H chart,
Hmm.
retest it intraday, and then go long. So this is basically what we saw. It um, retested, it broke through it, retest the area, missed it by, I don't know, like 20 cents, 15 cents, and then bounced up again. So I took that long. Where was the, hold on.
And
Okay.
again, for anybody that's just joining us, I know people are filtering in or out. Michael Katz, CEO of Trade the Pool, and myself, Chris Varley, with Trade Ideas Support and Education team here. So just doing a midday recap. And again, any questions, folks, throw those in the questions panel for us, and we'll get right to them.
Thanks. So I took that. That was a nice trade on ATVI. First,
Hmm.
I entered as soon as it pulled back. You can see again, I'm scaling in. It would be like maybe a 1% or even less that you will see me buy one row of buy and the other one of sell.
Hmm.
Most of the time, you will see a lot of buys and a lot of sell in my position. And again, I'm scaling in as soon as I see, getting more confidence that the price should continue higher. Then I'm adding more to the position. So I had 4 buys here. Partial took some out here when it reached a resistance level. And when it pulled back again, I added more to my position. So I
Hmm.
already had a profit here, added more in this case, and covered all of the rest of the position around the same level Actually missed the top. I had, you can see that that was beautifully on the chart. If we're looking, if we're looking on, oh, that was, you know what? I mixed those two. That was ATVI, what I showed you
Hmm.
before that. My bad. But we had the same thing. I had prepared to bounce off on the support level. That's where I bought it. But if you go to the 5 minute chart, you can see the 200 EMA right here created a resistance level, right?
Hmm.
So I just missed that by a tiny bit. That was it. Here was the 200 EMA. So I missed that by tiny bit, like 20, 30 cents. So, and I closed the position. But that was also a nice trade to make. And the one that I showed you just now was is Microsoft. Microsoft opened pretty nicely, gapped up. I created a scenario to go to short it or to go long. Uh, I didn't do that. I actually took the short side,
Hmm.
and that was, let's see, yeah, okay. So I shorted the first bounce, added more when it bounced up again, and then started to cover along the way as soon as it dropped. Obviously, if you're looking at Microsoft right now, it went down even furthermore.
Yeah,
But
I was just looking
you
at the chart myself now, and what a fade off that strong open.
yeah, sometimes you will look at the chart and see and tell yourself you could have made a lot more, but reality
Well,
is reality.
how often do we take a position, a winning position, say I didn't buy enough, or I didn't sell enough of it, or I didn't hold long enough? But
Yeah.
those are good problems to have with the trading most of the time.
And lastly, what I shorted was Uber. After earnings, popped up pretty nicely. Pre-market was great at the beginning, but then super sideways, consolidating. So I had two scenarios: one, breaking the trend line, retesting it, and go long, continue the push to the upside, or shorting it as soon as it dropped below the the 200 EMA and the pre-market consolidation. So yeah, so that's what I did. Let me yeah. So basically, as soon as it's broke the 200 EMA, I
Hmm.
entered with few positions, then started to cover as we continued to fall down to pre-market and other support levels. Again, in this case, it dropped a little bit more, like a dollar more, but I was pretty good with that trade as well. Maybe a few things that that we can get from that, from those trades generally is first, prepare yourself the best way you can, right? Create those scenarios, know what you're looking at, because I didn't go. There are many stocks to watch every day, but you want to keep your focus. 4 or 5 stocks, that's pretty much enough for at least for the beginning of the day. And then after an hour or so, scan again and go through your scanners and see what you can come up with. The second thing is, like I mentioned, managing the trade, managing the risk, scaling in. Those things will create a great trader, and we really want to push our traders to try to do that with their trades as well.
Well,
Yeah.
so and if I can piggyback on some of that, what you're saying is, I think people have this idea that pre-market, oh, I'm going to trade the pre-market, but they don't realize the amount of homework they can be doing in the pre-market without actually making a pre-market trade. Every day, there's going to be a number of stocks that are going to be active in the pre-market. You're going to have your large cap names that trade, every second that the market is open. Your Apples and your Teslas, you mentioned, Microsoft, all those big cap names. So those are ones that you can, every day you can set yourself up with those scenarios exactly like what you were just saying, doing that work in the pre-market, whatever chartings you want to use, set those pivot lines, be aware of what, moving averages you're using, whether it's an EMA or an SMA, or, someone out there might be using a triangular moving average, for example.
Yeah.
But, the other part of that too is there's people that do trade the faster moving things, and you don't have to, again, trade them in the pre-market. You can, again, set those scenarios up. You can set the scanners in the morning. You can look at what is active, what is moving, what is the most volume, not only just what has the most shares traded, because obviously something like an Apple or a Google or an Amazon or a Microsoft, they're going to trade several 100,000 to a few million shares in the pre-market, where you're going to have your, let's say, flavor of the day. The other day we were talking about how AI is very into, very in right now. Anything that puts AI in their name is flying. Well, you can do the same thing with those stocks too. But what you'll notice with a lot of those stocks, especially, for example, if I can throw up, I'm going to throw up a chart of AI here. What we notice with these stocks versus those Microsoft and Teslas, and a big difference that happens with those here is that these are going to have much larger ranges over these short periods of time. And you'll have to understand that there is a much bigger risk going on here. And I know that people often associate bigger risk, bigger reward. That's not always a scenario. And so that's why, doing this work ahead of time and saying to myself, gee, if I'm wrong here and we move that way, this is what I can end up losing. When you start to visualize what your losses could actually be, and you're really paying attention to that, what that risk management is, really kind of changes, at least for me anyways, deciding, is this a stock that I really want to be involved with? Because if it turns on me, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to have the potential of that massive loss, even though there is the potential of that massive gain as well. It reminds me of HKD. I think anybody that's been trading for a minute here remembers what this did and all this wildness. And I had a few people ask me, gee, why won't you trade something like that? And my answer was, look at these wild moves that are going on in here. Sure, it's great if I catch that side of it, but realistically, what are the odds that I catch that side of it? I catch it early enough. It's just not being realistic as far as I'm concerned. And so, not to say that I would never trade something like this or some things that are similar like this. The risk reward scenario and the homework that I have to be able to do ahead of time, is the most important thing for me personally anyways. Now, I don't, like I said, have a trade to share today, but one that I want to share from yesterday that ended up being a loser, SOUN. So we're talking about these AI moves here. And yesterday on SOUN, get out my drawing tool and let's zoom in a little bit more. So here's where yesterday is, the dotted lines, hopefully, and I saw a question coming in. Give me a second. I'm going to jump on that. So yesterday, when this gapped up and started to move, and I thought it was finding some support in this level here. And I thought to myself, I want to take a run at it on this move up right here and ride it to see if I can get a move through $4. So at $3.90, I grabbed a little bit of it here. And unlike you, I did not scale in. I kind of went big. I kind of went full position. I was really just looking for more of a scalp to get up in here. I was, 10 cents, 11 cents in the money, and it didn't get through. And I should have, it was really kind of what I was looking for in that trade. I didn't take it. I probably should have closed out 3/4 of a position. Then I didn't, and it came back against me and got me for a couple of cent loss. That's the way it goes. And, twofold scenario here. One was I anticipated a break that probably I shouldn't have been anticipating given what's going on here on that daily chart and the fact that it's AI. But two, I really knew that if it couldn't break that 4 right away, to take those couple of dollars and walk away right away. I let greed take over a little bit on me, and I made a bad day trade there. It was what it was. The flip side, yesterday, in a long-term position, I know we're a little more focused on day trading here, but I've been very heavy in energy stocks, both day trading and swing trading over the last, let's say, 2 years. As it's been one of the stronger sectors. I guess it's several months ago now. I had a long-term position here in Patterson Energy. When we had this big sell-off and we came down, you can see I have a line that's been drawn here for a long time. We didn't take that out on that sell-off. I had bought back in here again and added to a position that I'd had. We made a nice move up. We've made a nice move back down. Now, on this move back down, I began to sell and scale back out of that from here. When we couldn't take out this level down here just above 15 the other day, I added some back in. So when you were talking about all that scaling, I said, gee, I have an example on a longer term time frame with that. And people would say, well, why would you have done that there? Now, I don't have the marking on my chart because I'm always erasing and deleting marks here. But I saw this line here and I just said price seems to really be a magnet here. And I'm long from a very long time ago, the core position of it. So when we kept banging on this down here and we didn't break it, I've added to it here. And, here we are a couple of days now. We've got a couple of days back up in it again. And I'll do the same thing here. I'm watching to the other side of it here. And if we can't catch a bid and get up through this kind of spongy area up in here, where do I want it, 750 or 775? If we can't really get 17, excuse me, if we can't really get up and get above this here, I'll probably start to scale back out of that again and wait to see if I can re-add on a retest down here of that 1560, 1550 level. Yeah. I saw what's my favorite scanner on Trade Ideas. I don't have a favorite. I guess I have a favorite depending on what is going on in the market. For day trading, it's this one that's right here, and I can go ahead and share that. I call it relative strength from the open. And let me throw a link in for that. Relative strength from the open. And we're going to share and copy that link and post it down here. So that would be my favorite day trading one. Today it's been kind of on it. KPRX that's the one that got away from me today. I really like this chart here setting up this morning. Oops, sorry, I think I forgot to close the window, so I can't change my chart. There we go. Now we can change the chart. Someone would say, well, what was to like about this? And here's what it was. Yesterday we had this move in it, and I watched it and I said, I'm not going to mess with it right now. But if we look at where my price alert is set and we look back and zoom here a little bit on this daily chart, we could see we were in a gap right here. And I thought if we can hold and get above that level, we're good. And that was yesterday. And it never really happened. We had that move up. We never really got that move yesterday. But I had that price alert still set today moving forward because, if it was in favor yesterday, why might it not be in favor again today? And we exploded through there, and it wouldn't have been an easy trade. We can still see that, we've got these topping shadows here, a lot of price range, even on these individual 15-minute candles, just on the bars themselves, a 509 open and a 540-ish close here on that. So still, still a whippy stock in that regard, 1.5 million in the float. So these are one of those ones where I start to ask myself, is it something I want to participate in given the range? And it doesn't have an overly large range that would hurt me to the downside, full well knowing, there's some very clear areas to the downside here that we could look at. Today, that was the one that got away from me, kind of like, while I was, stuck with other duties. But that was the big one. RSLS, this made a short kind of pop and move here. I was not quite as interested in that just because of this here that was going on these days on the daily chart. I just, it's way down.
I can't trade those. I can't.
I used to not be able to. I still get hurt. Don't get me wrong, but it's about that discipline. When they hurt me early on, I wasn't disciplined. With this one, you look at it. There's a pretty well defined floor here. Had I wanted to go in on it, it was just something about it. I wasn't prepared mentally for it. It kind of just came through the scanner and ran, and then obviously gave it up. And I just didn't have time to settle myself on looking at it. But someone that's doesn't have the distractions during the day that I have to have with doing different tasks around here, and this is why I like swing trading so much. might have seen this and, 2 15-minute bars on a 5-minute chart. It looks even nicer. Look at that on a 5-minute chart. If we even cut that down, we bring it to a 3-minute chart, look at, how good it's going to look on a 3-minute chart here. So I just, couldn't bring myself to really look at it in that regard like that. But that's why, different strokes for different folks, essentially. And that's what we can do with the combination of trade ideas and trade the pool here. Trade the pool is, has tens of thousands of offerings that you can trade that are out there. You're not limited to just a few tickers. And so you can trade things that look like RSLS, or you can find, we can take this scan and we can make it into a larger cap mover, or things that have a lower beta or a lower volatility and things like that. So you don't have to be scanning for things like that. Now, the second scan, I want to jump on this really quick, that I guess I could say it is my favorite scan, because it's the one that I've done the best with. And what's really funny about this, I'm going to open the scan. It's not got much in there right now. Give me 1 second. Oop, nope, that's the wrong scan. I apologize. I call it my evening scan. And the reason I call it that is because I used to use it for all my preparation work the night or morning before for going into the next day, whether it was a swing trade or a day trade, looking for things that were active. And so what I did with the scan is I told it, please scan, find me stocks that are between $4 and $40. They have to be 75% of a 20-day range. So I want to see they're breaking out over a 20-day range. I don't want to see them completely stuck in no man's land. And I want to see that they're 75% above the low of the current day. Relative volume is 1, meaning they're trading at least their normal amount of shares over the last 30 days. And they've traded at least 750,000 shares on the day today. So I want to be pointed at stuff that it's got some activity in it, and it's not stuck in a range. It's not falling. Now, the first way I use this scan, and what I originally intended for, is, I go through towards the close or the end of the day and look at stocks that are looking kind of strong here, moving into that close. Excuse me. There we go. And is there room to run on this? So something like ENQR, not crazy about this. And again, why would someone say not crazy about this? I throw that line there. I don't want to buy something on a swing trade going into tomorrow, looking at this resistance overhead like that. Now, if we were in a bull market, and a full-on bull market, and I know we can find bull markets, and there's, a lot of things to point to for market breadth underneath that are showing bull market, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. I don't want to go into something anticipating like that, but let's see if we can find something that's a little nicer. PTGX. Here we go. Now, this was on here actually the last couple of days on the scan. And so if we look back on a daily chart here, we are in this gap. We are closing that gap. We are closing it strong. Biotechs have held well over the last couple of weeks. They're let's not call them a bright spot necessarily in 2022, but they had a nice summer in 2022 and then never sold off in the fall like everything else sold off. So I know all that was working here. So PTGX, of course, swing trading wise, you'd be taking a risk, but also, holding overnight. But day trading wise, we've got a really nice setup coming out of here. 2 really nice setups. We had this flag that happened here. Like to look at that tool. There we go. We had this flag,
the first one
here. And then this again right here through there. So we've got some really nice flags and extensions. And, going back to what Michael said about that pre-market work, well, this is, post-market, pre-market work going into a stock that is an active stock. It's already traded over 1 million shares, as we can see here. This is updating live. All right. And we've got a really nice uptrend here. And so now, has the train left the station? That's going to be, viewed in the eye of the chart holder, but it could continue to run as well. But this was, had you had this on your radar the last couple of days, you could have said, boy, we're in the gap. We're at a whole number of 15. If we can get through that 15, that looks pretty good, and you could be putting on a day trade and have that scenario set up the next day. I've shared this scan with many people over the last couple of years. I've had a couple of people that said they don't understand it as a swing scan. They love it as a day trading scan. And that's why, beauty is in the eye of the chart holder, beauty is in the eye of the scan holder. And so those are the 2 scans I would point. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer to that question, but these are things I could talk about for literally ever, as I have quite the passion for them. So let me share that scan out here as well for anybody that's a trade ideas user or maybe become a Trade Ideas user. If you're thinking about it, there's no better way to become a Trade Ideas user than sign up with Trade the Pool, take their evaluation, become a funded trader, and next thing you know, you've got these kinds of tools at your discretion. Let me get a link to Trade the Pool, unless you have one you want to share there, Michael, to put in.
If you got one,
I've got one handy. Let me throw that right in there. So there's a Trade the Pool link. Get in there. Take their evaluation. If being underfunded is something that's held you back, you've got quite an opportunity that Michael Katz and his crew have presented for you here, to be honest. And I'm looking to try to take the evaluation myself. Like I said before, sometimes day trading I get a little stuck. Yeah, I get a little stuck on not being able to day trade consistently here with my other duties there. So there's also a question that they threw in here for you, Michael.
Yeah, just watching it. So basically, for the guy or girl that ask what is the typical indicator for the day trading stock that I've been using, I'm using two indicators. Those are my main indicators. One is the 200 EMA, so the exponential moving average.
And let me ask, do you use that on all time frames?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so that's the same way I like to do it too with the indicators that I like, all time frames.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I mostly use it either for a hourly chart or a 1 minute chart. Mm-hmm. And a lot of folks that I spoke with previously said they were like, not expecting that I would say 200 EMA on a 1 minute chart, right? But I see it over and over again. It just worked perfectly. Also, one of the stocks, I can't remember the symbol right now, but one of the stocks we talked about on Monday, I said that could be a good, I didn't trade it in the end, but I said that it might bounce to the pre-market, to that 200 EMA during the day, and it did, and then fell right as it touched it. And I love to do that. A lot of stocks, big stocks mostly, I believe it was TSN, big stocks usually bouncing up and down on that 200 EMA, and you will see a lot of resistance or support levels with that. Second indicator that I love to use is the MACD, the MACD.
Mm-hmm.
What I usually look for is basically divergence between lower lows or higher highs, those kind of things. It will usually show you the momentum that is getting weaker depends on which side you're looking at. So on an uptrend, you will look for lower highs in the MACD while you see higher highs on the chart, and the opposite when you're shorting, when the price is dropping. So those are my main indicators. But as you, Chris, does, I usually like to look at the chart like a naked chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just understanding price action, watching the buyers, the sellers, support, supply, demand areas, all of those things.
Gotcha. I like to keep my daily charts very clean. Support and resistance, I delete them, all the time. Price alerts and things like that. On my intraday charts, I run an 8 EMA and a 20 SMA, and I like to watch kind of the spread that happens between them as a momentum indicator for myself.
Yeah.
But what I tell people is do, experiment with things. Whatever works for you may not work for the next person, type of thing.
100%.
So, I don't know how much more you have to go here, Michael. We've been going actually a little longer than I realized. Time flies when you're having fun is how it seems to work.
True. Yeah.
But I wanted to maybe throw out some things for people to watch here over the coming days. So you've got TAN and the solars were active today, and so this is a stock that reacts to the solars a lot, and I've been watching myself. So you see we've had these run-ups into this resistance level here, and then run back down into these support levels. Well, this time it sold off. It didn't quite sell off as much as the last couple of times. And so I'm watching this here and this kind of move up here to see what happens. If we can start to break this high of the day again, that might be a day trade for me here, especially being able to try to ride it back up to this high from a couple of days ago. If we can get above this level. So this is, going back to that homework right here. I think the market was bouncing, if I'm not mistaken, and now I think it's selling off again, right? Let me get a SPY chart up there.
Yeah, it bounced to the
So there we go. So a little bit of similar price action here. So I want to see the market at least kind of on my side or not selling off for me to really get into it. So for example, if it gets up here and it violates the price alert, but it doesn't, but I don't have the market on my side, I'm going to be a little more hesitant to want to jump on something like that. But, something to just, throw something out there for folks to look at here going forward.
Yeah, we need to remember we are also in the earnings season right now. So a lot of stocks are gapping up and gapping up or down. Pepsi and Paxton, Ralph Lauren, some retail.
Well, as you mentioned, earnings. I have a scan that I have for earnings here, and essentially it's going to show me anything with earnings going on today, whether it's post-market or pre-market.
Nice.
Have it up there with the names. So you've got Disney's reporting today. I have it ordered by market cap as well. So you've got Total Energies reporting today. These are some large caps. CVS is reporting today. Uber, as you mentioned before, is reporting today. You've got Yum Brands reporting today. So there'll be no lack of action whatsoever, throughout the next couple of days, and just another great way here to be able to do your homework. Let me share this out as well for anybody that would like. EARN earnings, and share and copy and paste. So, anybody that wants that as well, take that into your arsenal, and, you can take it, make it your own. But, you've got some heavy hitters that just passed. You have some heavy hitters that are going on right now as well. You look in finance, you got the CME Group is reporting today as well. So looks like the market likes whatever they did this morning. It's a positive reaction,
Yeah.
And these are all things you could take and start to do your homework with here and prepare yourself. You don't have to set up just swing trade or day trade scenarios. You can do both of those scenarios, going forward with scans like this, where the action is, what's happening, start to get on there and draw lines. CME, what do I see right away? Well, look at this. We've had this base right here that we've been in, right?
Yeah.
Is it going to try to break out of that base and maybe get a move back up to 200? It'd be a great idea for a long, and you could be putting that trade on any day as a day trade or a swing trade. Or is it going to be a fail? This is a whoopsie and it's going to fail and come right back down here and test that. I mean, obviously no one knows, but these are the things we could do to start to set ourselves up and get ourselves ready for these if-then scenarios. If I'm right, then I'm doing this. If I'm wrong, then I'm doing that.
Exactly.
All these different things that we can do here.
Interesting. Actually, CME, looking pretty good.
Yeah, again, liquids, something, fairly liquid. It's not trading a lot above what it's normally doing, but it's at 1.2 million shares traded today. And so there are people that don't want to trade stocks that aren't liquid all the time. And so this is a way, again, for you to find those stocks that are liquid all the time and work that plan that you want to implement with them.
Yeah. Definitely a great time to trade, especially day trade. Yeah.
It's, and the other thing too to point out is, used to be sell in May and go away was the expression, and I wasn't around for that time period trading wise anyways. But some of the other fellows that I've worked with in the past or work with now said, back in, the 90s and the early 2000s, it was real. Once the middle end of May got here, that was it. There was not really much to trade until sometime, in the first weeks of September, essentially. first, there's just more
Right.
market participant. As there's more people on the planet now, there's more market participants because that's the way it's going to work in general. Obviously, the advent of computer trading, being in there, creating more liquidity that's going on, which creates a different environment, but it creates a longer lasting environment because the sell in May and go away just really doesn't apply anymore.
Yeah.
And when you start to get companies like Trade the Pool, who are giving traders more of an opportunity to be funded and do things that they could never do in the past, and then you add a technology like Trade Ideas with that, pointing to you where all the action is. There's never a dull week anyways. You could still probably have your dull days and a random Monday or Tuesday in August, but then all of a sudden come a Wednesday or Thursday, you're going to find that action again. You'll always see those kinds of patterns, especially towards the end of the summer. Friday is always going to be quieter as people try to take those longer weekends before summer ends here in the Northern Hemisphere. But just much more action. And again, you take a company like Trade the Pool, giving you an opportunity to be a funded trader, and then giving you technologies like they're giving you to do the scanning, do the homework, do the charting. You're putting yourself in the best possible position for success. From there, it's really up to you to do what you have to do, of course, as a trader.
No doubt, Chris. I mean, I love this opportunity that we created, and you bringing the technology. The traders today have much more success rate and the ability to actually succeed and become profitable. I remember back in my days, it was much harder. You didn't have the information, the educational part online, and not talking about even technology like you present in Trade Ideas, and of course the fund that we bring. So definitely.
You mentioned the education part of it, and there's so much education out there that is for free, essentially, that you can get a hold of now and take your time. One of those things that I tell people is not to rush. The market will be here. The technologies will be here. A company like Trade the Pool is going to be here. The people that won't be here are the people that rush. And I think that's an important part of the evaluation phase in Trade the Pool, is to consider that part of it and not to rush through it, but use that as an opportunity to really refine your risk management skills and your trading plan. I think you would agree you could have the greatest scanner on the greatest scanner on the planet, but if you don't have a plan to trade what's coming through there, it's going to be all for nothing at the end of the day. It's really, it's not going to help you in any way. Sure, it alerted to something that was a winner for, let's say, half an hour every day. The scanner gives you 5 winners that are all 5% up, but every day those same 5 winners that were 5% up end the day 10% down. Well, if you don't know how to manage that 5% up and how to enter to get them that 5% up, it's completely irrelevant what that scan is going to do. And that's why taking an evaluation phase really makes you have to take it seriously, that this isn't just throwing spaghetti at the wall and watching it stick. This is having a plan, putting your ingredients together, getting them in the pot, and then cooking those ingredients with that trading plan to get forward, get a live funded account, get this kind of technology going.
Make it a chef food.
Exactly. So, all right, Michael, I know we're running up on time here. Is there anything else that you wanted to take over, or you wanted to showcase, or anything else you wanted to go over before we part ways for the day?
No, I think we're good. We having next week, right?
We are. We've got several more dates here. Anybody that is not subscribed to the Trade the Pool channel, please do that now. Let us get a few selfless plugs in here. Trade the Pool's got their channel out there. Set a notification when we're going live here. You can do the same thing with the Trade Ideas Education channel. There's some different Twitter accounts that are out there. You can come and follow those at Trade the Pool 1. You could find Michael there. Find Trade the Pool as a company there. Trade Ideas LLC is our Trade Ideas account. I have my own personal account. Maybe you'll run into me out there as well. And, you can get alerted to when we're doing these. We're going to, do these a few times a month, both pre and post markets, pre-markets and midday recaps. And if nothing else, if you're on the fence about any of this, You don't really know what direction you want to head with any of this. You don't know if it's the right idea to do this for your financial future. Come and join these. It costs nothing to set a notification. Come and join us. Listen to us talking some trading. Share some winners. We'll share some losers. We'll share some missed opportunities here. But that's going to be your best way to learn. And, start to write down these terminologies. There's someone who's just really kind of getting started. What's an EMA? What's an SMA? What does a pivot line mean? What does volume mean? Everybody's got to start somewhere. I literally started at not knowing one of those things. Here I am today. Like I always tell people, I won't be retiring in the next few years, but, I think there is a retirement in my future at some point, by having learned these things and studying them and applying them.
True. Yeah.
So, all right, we'll wrap it up there. We'll leave it there. Again, please, folks, check out Trade the Pool. I've thrown the link in there a few different times. Michael and his crew, they are, really providing a great opportunity here that I wish had existed 4 or 5 years ago for me. It would have probably saved me some heartache. But,
me too.
Here we are now, like everything else, hindsight. So, there's no better opportunity than right now, always. So thank you again, Michael. We'll see you in a couple of days here to do this all over again for pre-market. And we'll do it again in a couple of days after that for another midday recap. Yeah. Sounds good. All right, everybody. All right. Thank you so much. Take care. We'll catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.